Good evening, Internet.
Woo!
We're watching the Non-Pro TV Party Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. recap show. I'm your host, Frank, joined in studio by
James!
Matt and James. How are you guys doing?
In studio, though. We're not.
Yeah, we're not in studio. You're all in a studio in your hearts.
Wow.
Did you think about that one? I didn't. On Non-Pro TV Party, we do a live Google Plus Hangout series where we geek out about our favorite television shows and invite you all to join along. We're not just recapping TV, we're acting weird about it. In the Frenemy of My Enemy, with so many different shields in play, naturally Coulson's team, which is basically Coulson and Hunter, must reach out to Hydra assets to drive us all bonkers. That's pretty much the synopsis of our current episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You guys have all watched it, I assume, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Good. That will help in this review.
Immensely.
Post-watch review.
Yeah. I thought it was a pretty good episode. Last week's episode was amazing. It was Melinda. It was the tearjerker and like, oh my god, the show is amazing episode. And this one brings us right back into the plot. And I feel like we got some interesting things to talk about. This is like a reward episode. If you've been following the series and you know what's going on with all the little things going on, all the little characters that have appeared over the last year and a half, I think you get a lot of cool stuff to talk about. I overall liked it. What did you guys think?
I liked it as well. I feel like it's S.H.I.E.L.D. is continuing its trend of like they hit some very big drama points in one episode, and next week they start setting up for the next big point. And but I really like that, as always, when they do set up, you actually get some morsels to go along with it, so you're not just like waiting for something to happen. Stuff does happen, and I do appreciate it. And I thought it was a pretty good episode overall.
Now, James, you hated it.
No, I loved it.
Damn it!
I think what's so difficult for me right now is all the stuff that I was like really enjoying. Like all the people I'm like, yeah, they're my heroes. Those guys are despicable. Now I'm like, man, who's being really like adorable? Ward and the agent.
Agent 33?
Yeah,
33.
Ward and Agent 33 are being kind of adorable. Ward got her a cactus. And then Kyle MacLachlan's being very like
Cal, yeah.
understandable. Cal's being like, I feel bad for him. Like, I mean, he's still a crazy person and totally not safe to be around, but, like...
He's also your awkward dad.
I get it, Like, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we get a good amount of character development. I feel like if I had to say whose episode this was, it was definitely a Cal, Sky, her name is Daisy episode. I also feel like we got a decent amount of... believe it or not, Simmons. We didn't mention her by name yet, but she gets a lot of development, or at least we get a little bit more detail on her mindset, which everyone has been talking about for the first few episodes of this return season. Ward. I don't think I'm not quite on the I like Ward wagon, but I do like what they're doing with him. I think it's smart, and I think I'm beginning to see possibly how they might want to worm him back into the story. But I love, one of my favorite things about this episode is how many times they touch on things they've established beforehand. For example, when Coulson offers Ward a way out of his, horrible past through the Tahiti Project, I'm like, that's kind of genius. That rarely happens in genre TV. When they come up with a solution for, I don't know if that's a solution, but they come up with like a power that they go back to. Think about The Walking Dead, how unoften they cover themselves with like zombie guts as a way of like walking around with the zombies. Like you'd think they would do that all the time. Season 1 it worked. It just was a rainstorm that messed it up. Why don't they just keep relying on it? Why don't in S.H.I.E.L.D. they constantly pry open people's heads and remove their memories? What could possibly go wrong?
There's some ethical implications of that one. Maybe not quite as intense as rubbing dead people guts on you. I don't know.
It's hard
It could
to
be pretty intense considering what we saw what happened to Coulson.
Sure.
But actually, yeah. Speaking of going back to things, one really neat callback that I really liked was that when they went to Cal's office, Cal has the little hula hoop girl on the desk, and Sky says, "Oh, I had one of those," which is a callback to the second episode of season 1, when Sky is unpacking her stuff when she first boards the bus, she has one of those hula girls, the exact same hula girl, in her
Oh,
bag.
Because it was on her. It was actually even on her dashboard in episode 1. Like it
was
was.
it?
Like it
Cool.
was
Yeah.
actually in the dashboard.
Oh, that's cute. It's genetics. Yeah, so I like that. I like the fact that little things like that make you feel like you're in a universe when they keep relying on the fact that Ward was on some level within Hydra, and that they need access to Hydra to determine where these assets are going, where Cal might have gone. Like, it all makes sense. It's not like they're just dealing with one storyline and then going into the other one and then maybe shoehorning them together. It does feel like that they put a good amount of effort into building out these characters and this world. I feel like one of the things I want to bring up, I don't know if you guys want to bring up anything else. Anybody have anything that I don't feel like I want to hog the limelight.
You can go first, Frank.
You can go first.
Because this is a big one.
All right.
One of the things that happens a lot, kind of the theme in this episode and maybe even this season, is dealing with parents, dealing with fathers, I guess especially. Sky has been reunited with her mother, her birth mother and birth father. Her birth mother is welcoming, but alien, effectively. She's from a different community, a different culture. She completely wants Sky to isolate herself from humanity, not only S.H.I.E.L.D. but humanity, which is a pretty big deal. And Sky's father, Cal, is a monster. We are told he is a raving lunatic. And Sky kind of has to work between the two and live between the two. In the last episode, there's a moment where they're all having dinner, and it's really interesting and surreal and cute, arguably cute. This episode, we have a father-daughter date where Sky kind of walks Cal, or Cal walks Sky around to his old neighborhood. This is not like atypical. You see this in a lot of genre fiction, especially in a lot of comic book TV recently. I'm going to specifically call out Arrow, where there's a storyline about a character whose father, Thea, Ollie, Arrow's sister, is got a father issues with Malcolm Merlyn, who is like a supervillain. And when you compare the two stories, just look at the way fathers and daughters interact in those two stories. You've got something where in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's very hard to find fault in, for me at least, in what Cal is doing. Like, it's understandable. He loves his family, and he is unable to control his urges. And he is very reactionary, very emotional. And he's constantly feeling and is betrayed. So, like, every emotional hit that the show gives us, I feel like I can't vilify him 100%. Am I alone in this? Am I insane in thinking that Cal is actually a sympathetic character?
I 100% think Cal is a sympathetic character. I definitely look how we continuously get the Cal's done bad things to get where he is, to find his daughter and stuff like that. But I feel like we get the idea that Cal's done bad things to a lot of bad people. Like, he was hunting Hydra, he was hunting, even the superpowered people he manipulated were all generally bad people. They were all like superhero ex-cons and murderers.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he probably murdered or took out a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent or two or a thing around the block, but as we learned in Winter Soldier, half of them were bad anyway.
50%. Yeah, see, he was
50-50
good
chance.
percentage. He was just taking out more Hydra. So yeah, I feel like, don't get me wrong, I don't think Cal is like, you're not going to see Cal be like 100% happy-go-lucky. Cal's not ever going to be able to return to his life and be Daisy's father and stuff like that. That time has passed. But I feel like, obviously it's sad that he lost this, because he definitely was a good person once. I was there volunteering for Doctors Without Borders. I'm like, you're killing me.
Yeah.
Doctors Without Borders.
Yeah.
You were really a good person. We're just going to twist that knife in.
Yeah, I mean, he was effectively a hero. Everything he's doing, I'm not saying he's good. I'm not saying that it's right to commit murder in an attempt to reunite a family. You know, I'm not saying any of these extreme things. I'm saying that the writers have done, and their actors and everyone has done a wonderful job of making you feel like it's justified, not justified, that it's realistic behavior, that it's something that might happen and it's almost tragic. It's not just like cartoonish or even comic book villainy. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I really love the shades of gray that they're throwing on this whole entire storyline and all the characters in it. And like I personally, love this whole entire storyline with Sky finding out about her family and the issues and dealing with her parents and stuff. I mean, it really affects me on a personal level, like because I am an inhuman. Um,
Right.
just letting you guys know. But no, in all seriousness, but I really enjoy that Cal is, like he was a good person, and he does feel. You could tell he does feel a lot of guilt about like what he's done or like what he's like. I think he's kind of actually ashamed of it. It's before his daughter,
Mm-hmm.
like, and he really does want to try like make an attempt to like set things right. And I just think that's props to the writers and the actors to really convey that, and make really the best stories make you see every side and make you kind of question everything.
Right. And I feel like the fact that he's self-aware is the saddest thing. It's
Yeah,
like when he freaks out, when he rages out, he's aware that this is not the way he should have acted. He may have just spoiled things, and it makes him even more agitated. If it's totally realistic. Before we get into talking about Ward, who's kind of a similar situation, I know, unfortunately, I know Matt hasn't seen it, and we're not going to go into too much detail because we don't know if our audiences have seen it. But James, you've also watched Arrow, and in that situation, and it's a hit or miss series. I think I like it overall, but there's a character whose estranged father or biological father is a supervillain, has done horrible things to her family, and there's no explanation as to why those two characters are together as they currently, I think, are in the TV show. Like Thea and Malcolm Merlin, there's no reason why she relies on this man.
It's also what's even more frustrating is I feel like the series knows that like Malcolm is an irrehensible character because everybody else goes, "You're doing what with who?" You know, it's
Yeah.
it's not kind of like where everybody's like, Cal, it's a complicated issue. He's your father. I get it. Like Sky's mother gives him his dinner. May does agree to go find and try to pick them up. I certainly don't. Coulson has avoided killing Cal on many occasions just because of the fact that he's Sky's father. So, like when our characters are acting like the character is morally gray, as compared to our characters that are acting like the like spit evil of the earth,
Right.
it's different. They're not making a morally gray character, or if they're trying to, they're doing a very bad job of it. Cal is the John Barrowman we want.
Yes, we would. John Barrowman should play as a character on S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh man, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. He could play a character in everything. That's be awesome. All right, so enough about cross-genre things, but I do feel like it means a lot that we care so much about these characters. And one of the characters that we had a lot of vested interest in first season was Ward. Great guy, major twist with his character, and then this entire season, before the first half of it, and now we're like, what are we going to do with Ward? Like, at what point? Like, there's no rational reason to have Ward around in any way. Is he literally going to be just the B story occasionally? I don't know. What do you guys think about what's happening with Ward? What are they doing with Ward?
I absolutely love what they're doing with Ward. I think it's absolutely brilliant with the direction they're going. I know a lot of concerns and fretting amongst the internet community after season one is like they're going to have Ward come back to the team. Like the actor's not going away. Like he's obviously a major player, and really the only way to keep him fully involved in the show is to actually have him being part of the team again, and they're gonna redeem him and ruin all the things that they made him all the evil they made him out to be. But like the way that they're doing it, like just like kind of like easing him back in. Like, yeah, he's sort of back with the gang, but like, he still is not his, now really crazy evil self. I think it's great. It's like a great way that they worked him back in without like compromising his character, and it doesn't really look like they're gonna stop doing that anytime soon. So I mean, like he might be a sort of kind of ally. He might be a villain by the end. I'm not sure, but he's gonna be around, and he's good the way he is.
Yeah.
Look. I feel like people, even though people might still be worried about them redeeming Ward, I just feel like that's not going to happen. Like he's still clearly crazy. Like just earlier this season, dealing with his family was murdering his brother and burning down the family home. So like obviously,
Only a few episodes ago, he referred to that as I came to terms with my family.
yeah,
That's not
he's
what it
obviously
was.
messed up. Just because I think some of the things he's doing is sweet doesn't necessarily mean I think that Ward is totally capable of turning around and being like, oh well, bye 33, bam, you know. And there's even little bits and pieces of it in there. That doesn't necessarily mean I don't think Ward's a great asset and very smart and good at what he does. But there are specific things that Ward does. Example, on the plane. Obviously, Fitz doesn't want to talk to Ward.
Yeah.
And Ward likes pushing people's buttons. He likes getting underneath people's skin. He likes screwing with them. Of course he talks to Fitz. Like, it's totally deliberate. I don't think at all he's like, maybe he might actually be concerned, I guess, but I don't think it's, I'm trying to preempt Matt here. I totally think that's part of his psychopathy. I don't think that's like him trying to bridge a gap. I think he gets a kick out of that. That's the type of thing he gets a kick out of.
I think I feel like it's 50-50 with him because I do feel like he does really enjoy that kind of stuff, but I do feel he still considers himself part of Coulson's team,
Yeah.
and he's still buddies with his field buddy Fitz.
But that's even more concerning.
I love it. It's great.
Yeah, I think he actually is like, well, maybe I could bury the hatchet with Fitz. He seems okay, which is actually.
He doesn't though. They made a point to switch back to Fitz, who's fidgeting there, glancing at Ward, and then they look at Ward, and you see Ward, and he looks at Fitz, and there's recognition of what's happening to Fitz in Ward's face, at least in my mind, at least in the way I think the actor played it.
He'd have to be a really bad spy to not notice that Fitz.
Right?
Yeah. All right. That's fair enough.
So I have a question for everybody.
Sure.
Okay.
What do we think about? Right now, I want to know what people think about the main kind of. What about main Coulson? That seems to be like a complete point of tension here. Is May acting that Coulson's been hiding all this stuff from them and she still trusts him? Because to me, she seems legitimately concerned and upset about it.
Yeah. I feel like we have to keep in mind when she's revealed that she's concerned. It was in Melinda. In that episode, we learn a lot about her and about how she might be afraid of people with power.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's legit that she actually is a little concerned about these secrets. I think she trusts Coulson. I think the reveal of the last episode was, oh no, she won't trust Coulson, which is another thing I want to bring up. We don't have a lot of time. You think we could go right into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
So what happens a lot in genre TV up until very recently is you get the painfully slow reveal, right? It takes 1,000 episodes for anything to happen. And this show has been like reveal after reveal after reveal really quickly. So I almost thought that is Coulson a Hydra member? Coulson and Hunter and Ward are together. They saw it through Mike Peterson's eye. Oh no. But like Coulson is now in the custody of real S.H.I.E.L.D. So that should be resolved almost immediately within an episode. You would expect.
Right.
That's weird and great. I love the fact that they're pulling these story reveals so quickly. Yeah, that.
I like that they're doing it so fast, but they're doing it in kind of like a natural way that, yeah, it makes sense that like they would already know what's going on. Okay, yeah, Sky's thing taken away from him again, and like so Coulson's desperate. Yeah, he needs to go back to real S.H.I.E.L.D. to get their help to face Hydra,
Mhm.
and find out what's going on with the Inhumans. So like it's cool that they're moving along the plot, but like it's still at a fast but natural pacing,
Yeah.
and not really trying to like shove everything just because they need to fit in the season. Like everything fits within the season, which I think is really neat.
Right, and I feel like it's better to show like counter examples. In other shows I've seen where you've got like secrecy, internal secrecy is the major motivation for why things aren't revealed. Like people don't tell each other things, and for that reason, a plot will take 20 episodes to get done. I've heard people say that about S.H.I.E.L.D., and on occasion you will see certain things that are a little bit more secretive than others, but I haven't seen that much in this half of the season at all. Even Simmons and her arc, which I thought was going to take like a year or two to do, happened really quickly to the point where now, very recently, this episode, Simmons is like, you know what? I like Coulson because he was protecting Skye. She went from her, we can't trust supernatural beings, to, you know what? We can if we know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And she went through like a good arc and a natural one with things that happened to her without her having to be like fake heal for a year.
Right.
Look, I think say what you will about Marvel, but one thing that they got going for them is they got their movies planned out for the next 6 years. So their whole universe has to have some idea where it's going. And all these other shows, you know, the Losts and the Arrows and the this and the that's all just BS. How many of those shows actually know where they're going? But Marvel legitimately has to. If they want to keep this formula working, they've got to know a little bit about what they're doing. And I think that reflects very well on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a wonder whenever a plot kind of comes together in S.H.I.E.L.D. It's like, all right, that's, you know, that was definitely part of a plan. It's not just like a random assortment of episodes where one is good and it seems like, oh, it makes sense now. Typically, it works like the way a lot of other shows work, and they're really powerful for a season when all the episodes are in fact written out and they know they've got one season and potentially only one season.
Because they had to pitch them.
So I'm very excited where the story's going. I think the next episode is called, it was something amazing. Hold on. The Dirty Half Dozen. So I can't wait for it. It's going
to
the original team back.
The original team. They're all going to have to work together on something. So I want to see how they get there. I want to see how they get to a point where they're all agreeing that, like, well, there's something we need to do.
Right.
Because they don't feel like they're quite there yet. So
yeah, I don't, but I feel like they're very close. I mean, especially the way Ward is the hard one to work in, and they have a pretty genius way of doing it
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm extremely excited about it. Any parting words that anybody wants to share about what's going on?
Well, one thing I do want to say, and I loved the reactions when I watched the episode. Bakshi played the long game. He actually came out of it. As of now, he got out of his situation relatively unharmed. He's back with Hydra, and he now has Peterson and the other Inhumans. So who knows if he's actually going to stop being the punching bag on the show, which will be kind of neat to see.
No, I want him to get punched.
Sorry. Yeah. As soon as Ward told him behave as you normally do, I was like, that doesn't. I played enough D&D where I know that's not what you're supposed to say with your wish. That's not good. Nope, that's not gonna work. All right, if you like this, and even if you didn't, subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/nonproductive, and get alerts for when we're gonna do more of these stupid things. Remember Google Hangouts? That was a thing. All right, bye everybody. Enjoy whatever's on TV these days.
Bye.
Bye. Woo!